I've got another really difficult question for you today. Should pro-Palestinian protesters who have been staging protests at college campuses and in other locations be expelled from the U.S. if they are not American citizens for supporting a terrorist organization, Hamas, which controls part of Gaza? The area that Great Britain controlled on the Arab Peninsula, they called it Mandatory Palestine. And after World War II, when the Jewish people of Europe, who were seeking a homeland after this horrific genocide that they'd been through, along with thousands of years of persecution, what Great Britain and the United States and European allies decided to do is to take that area, Mandatory Palestine, split it into, give part of it to the Arabic people who had been there to live in, and give the rest of it to these immigrants from Europe who were of Jewish descent, and that land eventually became the nation of Israel in 1948. You can imagine that the people who had been living in what is now Israel considered this very unfair. Regardless, in the time since that happened, there's been unrest in that region. Hamas is one of those terrorist organizations that grew up in the Gaza Strip, which is one of the areas where the people who had been in Mandatory Palestine kind of got forced into. And Hamas took control of Palestine in 2007. They still control large parts of it. And in October 2023, they staged a horrific attack on Israel. Missiles towards Tel Aviv, raiding across the border and killing 1,200 or more Israelis who were taking part in a festival, and kidnapping about 250, taking them back across the border into Gaza. Israel retaliated by bombing Gaza and cutting off aid, killing about 45,000 people that we know of. And that includes 18,000 children. It includes hundreds of aid workers. They bombed hospitals. They bombed schools. The people of Gaza have starved to death. They've frozen to death because there's no heat due to the lack of electricity. There's no medication. There's no health care. So the protests are targeting this immense human suffering that's going on in Gaza. Israelis are saying it's not their fault that all this suffering is going on, that the people of Gaza are protecting these terrorists. They say that the terrorists are hiding out in hospitals, hiding out in schools, and that's why these civilians are getting killed. Other people see it differently. They think Israel is committing war crimes, that they're committing genocide. So the question is, since Hamas has such a stronghold in Gaza, is protesting against Israel's actions in Gaza supporting terrorists? And is protesting Israel's actions in Gaza protected by people's right to freedom of speech? What do you think?